I've got couple other little travel tips for the airplane. Or really, you could even use this even in the car too, but especially in an airplane when you're traveling with kids. Now, when my kids were babies and we were flying, obviously, 20 plus years ago, we didn't have then some of the things that are available now. And so that's what I want to, show you some of the newer things now that you can use when you're on a trip with an infant or toddler. Okay, the first thing, when you're on an airplane, it doesn't matter whether you're an infant, a toddler, a child, a teenager, an adult. It doesn't matter. There's always the ear pressure problem. So, when you're taking off, climbing altitude, and upon landing and you're descending and you're going at a fast speed like that, there's the ear pressure, where your ears all start to get plugged up. And that's why they recommend for adults that they chew gum. Of course, if you have an infant, they're not going to be able to chew gum. A toddler, ages 1 and 2, I would never give a toddler gum at that age. When they're about 3.5, approaching 4 or 4 years and above, I've let my kids have gum when I've been with them, and only for short periods of time. When they were, 3.5, 4 and onward, I would give them gum to chew when we took off, and then I would make them spit it out in a tissue. And then when we got ready to land, then I would give them another piece of gum. So that's what you can do with older children. That's what you can do with an adult. But what do you do when you have a smaller child? There's always the bottle, or if you're nursing, to nurse your baby. That sucking motion is what's going to keep them from getting their ears all plugged up. What happens if you fed your baby at the airport before you got on the airplane? Because the child's getting fussy, that might have been their feeding time. But now you get on the airplane and now they really don't want to, feed on the breast milk or formula. What do you do at that point? Well, there's a couple things that you can do. You can, for an infant, maybe just put your finger in their mouth or a pacifier and see if they will suck on that. Just for those few minutes of climbing altitude. Then after that, then they could be fine. But when you have a baby that's a toddler, like Alex is now toddler, 15 months and above, 2.5 to 3, what can you do if they don't want to take a bottle? Well, or maybe they're not on a bottle at that age. You can take a sippy cup and just fill it with juice or milk or whatever they drink, and they still have to suck through this to get their liquid. So it's that sucking that will keep the ears from plugging up. So you can give them that. You can give them something like graham crackers, and I like to buy these graham crackers that they're in little packs like this, and the graham crackers are already broken up. So inside here, there's this many packs of graham crackers. It makes it easier. So you just pull one out. So they can, chew on it. It's the chewing, it's the sucking, that's what does it. You can give them dum-dum suckers. Sometimes even on some airlines, the stewardess, they see you have a child and they ask, do you have something to help them with their ears? If you don't have anything, they keep dum-dum suckers on hand, and they'll even, offer you a dum-dum sucker, because again, it's a child just doing that's going to help their ears. Something else that you can do, and we didn't have these when my kids were little. All this other that I've discussed, we had that, but something that they have now are these different little pouches that have like the fruit in it. And all different sorts of people make them. This is Nature's Child here. This one is Pumpkin Tree. Mott's puts them out. I bought a couple of these too, so that we have them for even at the park. If we're getting something to snack on and it's something maybe Alex doesn't like, or before we can even get to eat lunch or, something, and we're really not hungry, but he really wants something. These fruit pouches will be nice for him. And all you do, you just take the top off, and they hold it like this, and it's like toothpaste. You got to squeeze it up, and they have to suck this out of the pouch. So again, there's that sucking motion too. So, and they sell things like this down at Disney World too. So even if he uses all of these that I already bought before I come back, I can, just buy more and then have some for the plane when he comes back. So I bought these. I'm going to try these and see how it works. Something else, when I've gone to take my kids for their shots when they were little, as soon as, they're done giving the shot and everything, the doctor's always telling you, okay, they could be in pain, or they could, because it hurts there, that area gets sore, or, they could run a slight fever. So as soon as you get home, just go ahead and give them Tylenol, or they'll tell you give them Motrin or Advil or whatever your doctor tells you to give the baby. And after hearing that several times when my kids were little, taking them to give shots, I was like, if I'm going to have to do this when I go home because they're going to develop pain, why don't I already have that in their system beforehand, so that if any pain were to trigger, they have all that already in their system already. So that's what I always did. Right before I left for the doctor's office, I always just gave them a dose of their Tylenol or whatever. And I never really had a problem with them having, soreness or anything like that. But I'm going to do the same thing when we get ready to get on the plane. I have Alex's little Advil here because sometimes when your ears don't pop, it hurts, it starts to bother you, especially that it kind of sounds like it's underwater. You as an adult understand what's going on. It's ear pressure. A child doesn't understand that. And so they're going to play with their ears. They're going to be bothered by it. I think one time on the plane, years ago, I had one of my kids, I think it might have even been Josiah, that his ears did not pop. And he was tugging on his ears, and he was even going like this to try to get his ears to pop. Because when we were taking off, evidently he wasn't doing what I had instructed him to do, and so his ears got plugged up. He was a little older at the time. He might have been like kindergarten age or whatever, but it still bothered him. Sometimes when your ears get all plugged up like that, it could cause a little bit of pain in some people. So to prevent that, just as a precaution, I'm just going to give a dose of Advil, and this doesn't hurt. I mean, it's just Advil, Tylenol, whatever. Just take a dose. It's not going to hurt him. Right before we get on the plane, about a half hour or so, or to an hour before we get on, I'm just going to give him a dose, and we'll see how it goes. So that should alleviate any ear pain problems or anything like that. The other thing now is for adults. That you got to buy all your little snacky snacks when you get on the plane. And a lot of people bring their own. And I know that Harry and I have done it when we've traveled before, and when we've traveled as a family. I always buy things, little bars, little breakfast bars, or these, crackers like this, and just stick them in your purse. And then when they bring your beverage, I go in my purse and I hand a pack of crackers to Harry and a pack of crackers for me, and we sit there and we eat our crackers, and it's no big deal. And I mean, you don't have to have anything to eat, but sometimes people would like to have a little snack. At one time, the airlines used to offer you a snack. They don't offer you a snack anymore unless you pay for it. You do have to pay for those things now. So other people do it too. So that's just my little tip. If you forget to bring something with you when you're at the airport after you get through security, you can go into those little convenience stores, and they have little things, and you can buy them and take them on the plane. You could even buy a banana, in some of those places, if you want a banana, and eat a banana on the plane. They don't care. At least I've never found a problem where they have cared before. One other thing I want to talk about in going through security. When you have an infant, you can take one bottle that's already got the formula in it. When you get to security, you have to tell them, you have to show them your diaper bag, you have to say, I have a bottle. You have to declare it. And they have to run it through a special thing. It doesn't go through the x-ray thing, because they have a special thing that they test the liquid. And so you got to declare it. If you don't, you can get in trouble. So make sure you declare your baby bottles when you go through at security. I am going to have an extra bottle on hand. I called the airline. I said to them, you know, in taking a bottle, I you know, will have a bottle, you know, with my grandson. I said, but, you know, if he drinks that or whatever, he needs another one on the plane. What I normally do whenever I'm traveling anywhere, and I know I'm going to be gone for several hours, I always take a bottle that I just made before I walk out the door. But then I take another bottle, but it's filled with water. And then in my diaper bag, I keep a Ziploc bag that has formula and it has the little scoop thing in there. And that way then I can just, you know, put, you know, the powder in here, shake it all up, and he's got a bottle. I don't make up bottles ahead of time, because if then you don't use them after, they say 4 hours or so, you know, you really got to dump that at that point. So it's just better just to have water and formula. I've done this even when my kids were little. So I asked the lady when I called for, you know, the tickets and all of that. She said no. I said, you mean even if I declare a bottle of formula that's already pre-made, I can't declare a bottle at the same time that has water? She said, no, you may take a bottle. That's what she told me. She said, you just purchase the water when you get past security. So that's the thing. So I'll have a bottle made up before I go. I will take an empty bottle with me with my formula. I can't take bottled water. You can't have a bottle with water. It's got to be empty. So after I get through security, again, the little stores that they have, yeah, little stores, and you can buy magazines and all kinds of stuff. You can buy bottled water too. I'll just buy a bottle of water there and take it with me. Just, you know, put it in my diaper bag. So I didn't know if you guys knew that, or especially if you've not traveled with an infant or a toddler and, you know, you're thinking about it. I used to travel with infants and toddlers when my kids were little, but that's been 20 plus years now since I've done that. And when flying, things have changed with the regulations because of security and all of that. And I've had to learn these things as I've gone too. And you just talk to the person that when you book your tickets, you just speak to an agent. You just ask them, what are the do's and the don'ts and the rules for having an infant and bottles and food and things like that. And they will tell you. One more thing to remember when traveling with a child, whether it's an infant, toddler, or a small child, even teenagers, it doesn't matter. It's the same principle that we as adults should always apply to traveling on an airplane. Always dress in layers. And the reason why, because, you know, say like you're stuck on the tarmac. You're in position, ready to go, but there's other planes that are ahead of you taking off, and sometimes you can sit on that tarmac for an extra 20 minutes, for a half hour, 45 minutes, an hour. My husband has sat on the tarmac. One time he was there because there was some kind of an issue, whatever it was. It was like 2.5, almost 3 hours that they were sitting there. Just, well, I don't think that they were on the tarmac that long, but they had boarded the plane, and they were sitting there that long. And when it's summertime, you know, they'll run the air conditioning a little bit, but we got all those people, everybody's breathing and everything. It gets hot. And even dressing in short sleeves, you know, it was even getting, you know, pretty warm in the plane. You could have this, you know, the same thing in reverse if you're in a climate that's colder and you're sitting there on the plane and they got the heater running, but they don't have it running, you know, full force or whatever as they would do when they're flying. You could get a little bit chilly. And same thing, you know, when you're in flight, you know, whether it's they have the heater on or they have the air conditioner on, sometimes the plane gets a little bit too warm, sometimes the plane gets a little bit too cold. And so that's why when we travel, we always travel in layers as well. So I have a little jacket that you could take off if you start getting warm, but then if you start getting chilly, put a jacket back on. But you should do the same thing with children as well. Dress them in layers, because it's better to take, you know, a few things off and then, you know, put it back on later or whatever you need to do. It's all for comfort. And if you want a happy baby, a happy toddler, a happy little young child that's not fussing so much because they're uncomfortable, you need to make them as comfortable as possible. So these are my tips to do that. So I hope that you found this video informative. and I will see you next time. Bye.